What Dan is saying is that there is there's a sacred spring at the very base of the steps that go up to Gunung Padang, and that this spring is seen as sacred by the local people, and there's a tradition that before you go up there you should take some of this water or wash or something, and that I think this is a good way to start the journey up there, because I like adhering to local traditions. But the actual steps, there are 370 steps, I understand, that lead to the first terrace here. And there's another one here right behind you. And these steps are, although they're made of andesite blocks like those of the megalithic structure, were probably only put in place around 1980. Prior to that time, there was no exact path up to the top, and also there may also have been another path to the summit on the east side. I think Gunung Padang is an incredible site. I visited it for the first time today. We've climbed from the steps and the holy spring right up to the first terrace, where we're greeted by this massive rock mound in the middle of the first terrace, and this apparently is known as the crown of the land, or the crown of the earth, or the crown of the world, and this seems to suggest the idea of sovereignty, the idea of kings and queens. But we know that this also marks possibly the entrance into an underground chamber that has been detected by geophysical research at the site and other methods. So this area here is very, very important. Apparently maybe sacrifices took place here, and also there is evidence that here the stones are from an earlier period, what they call layer 2, whereas most of the smaller little stone settings in squares and rectangles are from level 1. Now level 1 dates to the Metal Age. The Metal Age is around 2500 to 1500 BC, but we're talking about much older structures for level 2 and for level 3, perhaps as early as 8000 BC. But then when we climb a huge 9-metre step onto the second level, we see hundreds and hundreds of andesite blocks, as if there has been various building structures here that were created probably by hundreds or if not thousands of people for a great purpose. Something was going on here. It was almost as if there was a bigger purpose, very much like people coming together to create Stonehenge in England or the Great Pyramid in Egypt, that there was something happening here that had to be done. And then we climb even higher to levels 3 and levels 4, and the stones start getting smaller and smaller. They've gone from being 1.5 meters in size, now there are no more than about 0.5 meter, and clearly I think this is from a later period, probably from this level 1. And then you reach the final terrace, level 5, and there is an area of andesite blocks forming a pavement on the ground in a rectangle, and this felt immediately like it was for maybe a king or a queen or a princess to stand and to watch the activity on the lower terraces, and maybe beyond towards the volcano, the Gede volcano, towards which this monument is unquestionably orientated. And we find that this floor is indeed known as the throne suggesting a connection with sovereignty, with kings, with queens. And the story is that this is where the king would stand, and that to the left of this would be where his queen would stand, and to the right of the king would be his high priest. So there is lots of activity going on here, but I believe that the core of this connects with the volcano to which the monument is facing, but also rites and rituals and ceremonies that connect with royal people, people in charge of probably this kingdom, a kingdom that would have stretched out to encompass the whole of the Sinjar Basin. I believe that this would have been their domain, their territory, and that they had to keep control of this. This is what sovereignty is. The king is connected with the land is connected with the king, and as long as the king has control, then the land is okay. If the land is in chaos, the king is in chaos as well, and maybe has to replace. So there's a connection between the two. And I think that this is what was going on here at Gunung Padang in the past. The andesite blocks popping out of the side of the hill lower down, can't you? Even on the eastern side.
We have to see that the arrangement of the second layer is more advanced of this one.
Yeah.
This is more coarse, it's not as tight as the second layer.
Yeah. What I find interesting here is you've got these two stones
Yeah.
that are jutting out.
Yeah.
That's clearly done on purpose.
Yeah. So notice that we have a test pit over there.
Yeah.
So this first layer is only covered like no more than 1 meter of this block. Behind this is the second layer.
Okay.
So
and this is sticking out from the second layer?
no, this is the first layer.
Okay. But clearly these are a marker for something, because otherwise why would you stick them out and not
I
make the whole thing flush?
Yeah. My architecture guy think it is for strengthening the structures.
And they're clearly not for agricultural purposes. They're an
No.
extension of the entire hilltop monument, a deeper level, which shows us that the terraces that we've got, that we can see now, are simply the surface, almost like the icing on the cake, so to speak. And that below that is something incredible and very big and very megalithic.
In some area though, on the north side, there are the stone terraces which has a wider terrace, flat surfaces,
Right.
and people use it for agriculture. But they said, well, I just use it as nature gift, so they don't need the terraces.
Right, okay. So we're now down on the southeastern corner below Terrace 5.
Yeah.
And we've already seen on the west side and on the east side that the andesite blocks continue and show that there's an inner core here. And here we are again with many of these blocks which are sticking out the side, showing that everywhere they are, completely covered. This is not a solid structure, this is made up of these blocks.
Yeah. So we cut all these bushes last year, so that we can clearly see the stone terraces step. So another steps over here, another step over here. There's all rocks sticking out. Let's see.
So, we're talking about it going down like a pyramid structure.
So it's like that pyramid.
Yeah. It's like something.
That's all these rocks. Another step over here.
Okay. Right, now this is interesting then, because here we can clearly see that this is the edge of a terrace here. And it continues on. There's another one here. Quite clearly you can see the edge of it, because you can see the shape of it. And this shows that we really are on a pyramid hill, and that the core of this has been designed to make it into a pyramid. And I mean, how far down these andesite blocks go? How many?
Yeah.
How many meters would you say?
Yes. We estimate that this step pyramids made by these blocks, it's all over the side, so at least 100-meter height
In
from
height?
the top to the parking level. So to down there, even to the stream level, 200-meter height.
Right. So we're talking about a pyramid hill here that's 100 meters tall. And that's quite extraordinary. And I mean, if this was all uncovered, you know, it would be certainly as impressive as the Great Pyramid in Egypt. Right. Okay. We're on one of the terraces now, one of the edges of them, which shows that this is a pyramid hill. Here's the edge of it here. And it carries on like this. Look, see. It shows. Apparently, this goes all the way down the hill. Shows that this is a pyramid structure of basically 100 meters in height, which is absolutely extraordinary. Right, here we've got another couple of huge andesite blocks, absolutely quite massive, sticking out vertically from the side of the hill here on the southeast corner. So what can you tell us about these?
Well, this is one of the steps with the big stones over it, big rock columns.
These are quite large, these ones are.
Yeah,
These are
yeah.
larger than the normal ones.
There's some corner that has huge blocks, very nice.
So these look to me, Danny.
Oh,
these are like
brilliant.
multi-ton blocks. I mean, how do you know how long these are? And this one looks broken as well.
It's at least 1 meter, could be up to.
So it's sticking into the rock, so we can't say exactly, but it could be, you know, a metre and a half, 2 metres in length. But all that we can see at the moment is about a metre's worth. But I mean, this would clearly take it up into the regions of 500 kilos and upwards, possibly a tonne. But they're impressive, and they're side by side, and they're both extremely large blocks.
So maybe is there a sort of speculation that there could be stuff that's not been excavated that could be much bigger blocks that lower down you go, or
Could be.
I guess because on the other side they're standard size blocks, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow I think we might need a machete. But I mean, that's impressive, and look, there's more beneath them. I think this
Yeah.
is the important thing.
This
I
is
mean,
incredible.
you know, they're not isolated blocks.
So you know,
I mean,
these
standing on more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean the whole thing's just made of them, isn't it? Really. So it's,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, this is a problem of our work here. We are currently still on the research stage. So when we clean up all these bushes, and we can see the stone terraces, the step pyramids quite clearly if we get rid of all these bushes. But then we cannot preserve them. So we have to restore them again into these bushes.
Yeah. So
So
nature
that's
reclaims them again.
Like nature also reclaimed them again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why for the next stage we have to go into the restoration stage. So you can clean them up and preserve them, restore them into a better stage,
Okay.
make it open.
So there's just potentially artifacts, treasure, anything could be found here still because there's not hardly anything's been dug.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Not
It's-
much.
It's almost like a almost pristine site, I guess, when you found it.
Yeah. Right.
And when it was first discovered back in the early 1900s, was it what was it thought of then? Was it just thought of a more relatively modern site?
No. They just thought it's an ancient cemetery,
Okay.
and that's it. That's the report from the judge.
Because the cemeteries in Java often contain standing stones.
That's right.
Okay.
So, you know, they could have been created a few hundred years ago,
Yeah.
you know, or maximum 1,000
Yeah.
years ago. You know, the tradition of building standing stones and small stone enclosures is almost right the way through to, you know, the contemporary period, you know, the modern day.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So-
also you have to remember that at that time it's been a lot of big trees here, like jungle, very
Yeah.
thick
Yeah.
bushes. And what
Yeah.
what they see is only a standing, some blocks of rocks and standing rocks on top of the side. So they think it's only that.
Okay. They didn't realise there was anything further foundations.
That's right. Even until 1980, they don't realize that there's still much more on this side, on the slope of the hills, until I come here. And then first I do the GPR, the ground penetrating radar, of this side. And to do that, I have to cut down the trees so my antenna can get down. But when I cut down the trees, I saw these steps and said, what the heck? This is the stone terraces. It's still continuing down there. So I called my archaeologists, Ali Akbar, and I showed them. And they said, oh my God, I come here every year with my student, and I never know that still much down there. So that's the story.
But did they accept that it was an extension of the megalithic site, though?
Yes, some archaeologists, of course, including Ali Akbar, very sure this is the original steps. And he also interviewed the local peoples here and, asking, do any of you, your father, your grandfather, make this? They said, no, it's just been there for a long time. And if you're looking on the steps, the steps between the flat areas between the cliff is just too short for farming, for the growing vegetation, because it's also tradition, right, to make the step terrace of the for the farming. But
agriculture.
This one is not for that because it's just not enough. It's very narrow. Yeah, so it's original.
Cool.
Megalithic. It's very megalithic.
I mean, look, we just examined these huge blocks.
It's got layers missing on it, this one.
I mean, these blocks down here are huge, and I mean, they really do show that there is an incredibly large structure just below the surface of the actual jungle area, and this is very, very old. I mean, this is 5,000 years BC and almost certainly 8,000, and could be a lot older than that. So it's certainly contemporary with Göbekli Tepe in Anatolia. So, we really need to know who made this and exactly why. We're getting an idea of why, but we don't know the who yet. This is brilliant, isn't it? Just a few meters down from the top, we're discovering stuff like this.
The artifact?
Yeah.
Is from this test pit over here.
Oh, you mean the one, not the one that the trowel, as we call it?
That's right. Yeah.
That was found down here.
Yeah.
You see, the interesting thing about that is that some skeptics might say, "Oh, it's a natural stone," but the problem with that is that it looks fragile. If it was in the ground for too long, it would be destroyed. In other words, if this was tens or hundreds of thousands of years old, it would fragment because of the pressure on it, and that suggests that it's actually quite modern. I mean, what I mean modern in geological terms. So that basically does indicate that it is manufactured.
It's artifact indeed. The shape of that is clearly showing it's an artificial cut, no doubt. All the archaeology says that, our people. And it's a perfect geometry for the nature to shape that. The nature usually shape a bit rounded on the surface, but this one is pretty sharp, pretty good in. And also, what we have to emphasize here, that artifact is found on the bottom of the soil fields here. This is an artificial soil field,
right?
No certification, so just in the bottom of that. In the boundary between the soil fields and the surface of the layer 3,
okay,
the third layer, and the soil fields age 10,000 years or 8,000 BC.
Right,
so
right.
I think that is the minimum age of that artifact.
10,000 years old.
Yes.
Can you just describe it? I mean, I know we don't have it with us at the moment, but just describe what it looks like.
It looks like the triangle, and you twist it. So it's triangle like that, you twist it like that.
Right.
It's become narrow and then wider again. So in general, the shape is like kujang. Kujang is the sacred weapon of the Sundanese people, the West Java. So we call it the batu kujang, the
Okay.
kujang stone. And the properties of that artifact is peculiar or special because it looks like andesite, but it's not andesite. It's porous, has a pores on it very evenly, like pumice. But pumice is very light, but this is very heavy. And the density of this artifact kujang is about 3.4 gram per centimeter cubic, which is significantly heavier than the andesite. Andesite is only 2.7, 2.5 to 2.8. This is heavier because there are lots of metal grains on it that distribute evenly throughout the rock. So the properties of rock is peculiar. I haven't known that on geology, kind of andesite, but it's not andesite.
Okay, so it could be a type of tufa rock, you know, a volcanic tufa,
Yeah,
but
tufa
with a
is
heavy metal content.
Yeah, lots of irons on it.
You know, so that gives it the weight
Yes.
and possibly even the hardness.
Yes. Hmm.
So
And pores also, if you touch it, you will feel rough on it, like you touch the pumice, the volcanic pumice on it.
okay, so the chances are it probably is volcanic. The object is made from a volcanic rock, but exactly what type of volcanic rock we're not
Yes.
sure, and it's not necessarily native from this site.
No, not
Okay.
necessarily. Yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully we can see this on the 28th, if that is possible.
Other thing is interesting on this south side.
Yeah.
We cannot find that the columnar rock joint, the rock columns on the south side slope.
Not yet. Okay.
No. That's very strange of it. We haven't really fully understand, but so the boundary between the stone terraces is like over there on the bushes. So here it's soils, very thick soils of that. So according to our subsurface structures over there, it seems to be on here there's a steep wall. That's one of the
okay.
reasons why we
Right.
dig that, because we are trying to find the door, the gate to the chamber. So that's one of the purpose why we dig here.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, that would be a very interesting feature to
Yeah.
discover.
Yeah,
if
so
it were
that's
walls.
also our one hypothesis, that there is an entrance from the south side.
So what you said, just to clarify, you're
Yeah.
saying that this is all just mud here, basically,
Soils,
and,
yeah.
and there's potentially a straight wall made up of the columns, the andesite
rocks.
columns.
Rocks, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, andesite rocks.
So straight, kind of going down. That's very interesting. It's
Yeah.
like a retaining wall.
Yes, something like that. So we are hoping that we find a gate.
That
Goes in.
could also suggest that the stones will get larger the lower you go, because with retaining walls, that's what happens. You need a much larger block
They are
at the
bigger,
bottom.
bigger blocks, yeah. Yes.
And that's what we
Over
saw
there.
around the west side briefly.
But what we found here, the rock here is not column. It's rounded.
oh,
It's different here. It's also it's complicated here. So
When you say rounded, you mean like
rounded.
a bowl?
Rounded, like the stones that we see on the river, like
River.
rounded because
Okay.
of transportation, natural transportation. So it's rounded.
Okay.
Yeah. So that also make it clear that it's not natural, because we are on the top of the hill. We should not found the rounded rocks here. So it's this is a building, a structures that made by that blocks of rounded stones over here on this part.
But what is? Have you found any large blocks, though, rounded blocks? I mean, what is the largest one that you found to date?
Well, we have the test pit here. The larger one is like that. We have the drilling. We have the test pit also over here, down to 11 meters.
Yep.
The larger one is like your head, bigger a bit. Yeah, so
Okay.
like 50 centimeters, maybe that's the largest one. But we haven't dig enough, so
No. So I presume so far you've not found any human remains.
human
you know,
remains.
yeah, and any skeletal remains.
No.
Okay, it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting that that they're not here in a way, because it's clearly an artificial structure. You would think that there should be some kind of human debris
Would it be
here.
the climate would destroy the bones?
I think so. If thousands of years, the bones will be destroyed into soil.
Yes.
No remaining. Yeah. One more thing that to emphasize this. You see this mound, this soil?
Yeah,
This thick
yeah,
soil?
yeah.
So it's very certain that this soil is not natural. It's all man-made, and the thick is up to 7 meters thick. All the fields.
Right. So are you saying that they would have imported this soil to this,
Dump it,
transported and dump
yeah,
it?
to cover the second and the third layer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's
Yeah.
an example.
You
Oh
see
my
that?
God.
Is that drill? That is our drill course.
So you drilled that?
I drilled that
Okay.
before we excavate that. Yeah. So you see that holes over there?
Yeah.
Here you go.
That's your drill core.
Yeah. So in the drill course, what we see is the rock blocks like this thick. When we drill it, we think it's a same column rock that we penetrate with the drill. But when we excavate that, we just surprised that it's not that. It's rounded blocks like this. So usually we find it on the river because the block is rounded because of the transportation.
Yeah.
Natural.
Yeah.
But it's in the top of the mountain, so
Right.
so people bring it here.
So basically, these are the stones that potentially make up the retaining wall on the south
Exactly,
side.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I've not seen anything like this at any other place on the hill. So, these are quite unique to this
Yes,
this area.
Yeah.
So,
And also you have to remember that in the geology, if you correlate the lithology, that is impossible. We see the rock columns over there and then suddenly change into this one. So that is not natural, definitely. It's a building, artificial.
the great work that Danny Hillman is doing here is really opening up this site. It's made it a subject of international news stories, which is how I myself came to hear about it in England. And myself and my colleagues are writing about it in books and in articles. And the presidency of Java are fully behind the work going on here, and that in the coming years I believe that this will become a very major tourist attraction. I think this is good because it will generate more scientific interest in the site, but also it will generate tourism and money for Java, of people coming here on vacation, on holidays, to see this place, as well as the other great sites of Java like Borobudur, and places like the Great Museum in Jakarta, and many other sites that tourists see today.
Anything unusual happening there?
Not really. I think it's my compass looks fine.
Okay.
I think I have to move that. But I'm trying because last time my friend using not the same compass, a smaller one, another type of compass, and his needles is going like crazy like that over here. So I wonder whether that is not constantly producing electromagnetic, with just like occasionally or whatever.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. So nothing's happening right now, but if we keep walking about, we might get something. So, where was he getting that anomaly? Was it just where you were standing there, sort of going up the hill slightly?
It's going uphill. Nice.
These anomalies could actually be caused by some kind of geological fault or some kind of disturbance or something like that. We've just been told that that gold was mined in this area, and there's still a natural cave that was used by prospectors seemingly to look for gold, but water flows from this and very little is known about it, and it's in the Karahoon Mountains immediately to the south of Gunung Padang. So whether we'll be able to explore this whilst we're here, I don't know, but we're looking for an even bigger cave, which we've also heard exists in this area. Plus obviously we shall be trying to look for megalithic sites as well.
So most of these could have been handled by just a few people, probably moved into place.
To lift this, I think we need like 4 to 5 people.
But if they've got to bring them from the ground level up,
Yeah.
that's a whole different story.
Yeah, that's big job. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any more mortar up here? Can you see? Is it just that when we looked earlier, we saw? Is there any other examples of mortar on this level here?
Water?
Mortar, like cement.
Oh, things that there are lots of modification in the surface. So people. Ah, there you go. This is your original.
Ah, yes.
That's the original. This one also.
Ah, yes.
Pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So did the whole site have mortar built between the blocks, or was it just certain levels?
The second layers.
Second
The
layers.
second layers, the older one, the 5000 BC one, has that. The third layers also has matrix like this, similar. So the second and the third layers has this kind of fillers.
And exactly what composition is that?
This is mostly iron minerals and silica.
Okay, and that's from the local area.
Could be, because we are on the volcanic zone, which has lots of volcanic materials, has that irons and silica
Okay.
minerals.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Danny. Thanks for pointing out all these anomalies. I'm going to go around each one and just sort of feel into it a bit, film it, and see if I can get my compass doing
The
anything strange.
geometry is interesting thing, I think, what we can see here. We saw several locations about this second level, and what we see here, the orientation of this rock column is about 60 to 70 degree northeast, which
Okay.
is similar to what we see on the below that. So it's actually in the right angle to the long axis of this side. But if you look into that, the bottom one below this layer is a bit deviated slightly, about 15 degree. So that one is oriented like 55 degree. So, but that is similar to what we see on the second and the third level, that the arrangement of the column. So there are two arrangements. One is perpendicular to the side, the other is a bit deviated, like diagonal to it. So
Okay. And this different type of stone, like what potentially some people call the altar stone,
this one,
what is that made of?
this one also
The orange kind of.
oh, the orange one, yeah, that's different rocks. That is not the columnar drained rocks, not the column rocks, but it's a slab of rock. That's absolutely different. And this one also, it has a special meanings of that. You see that rocks
Yes.
with the flat surfaces.
Yes.
We call it it's a sound rock or music rock, because it's if you
If you tap it, you get
tap it,
you get a
the
different
sound.
Oh, okay. So it's like acoustic.
Yeah, it's an acoustic
Okay.
one. So some people think it's for acoustic.
So these three down here, three or
that's
four,
right.
yeah.
You
Okay.
can try it with our hand if one.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that now.
It might cost by the lots of iron on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
It's Phil Collins.
I was looking.
So this is just the road leading out of Gunung Padang eastwards, and these are some rice paddies just nearby, and it makes me question, was Gunung Padang actually an agricultural terracing system like we find in Peru? It's one of these things that's kind of intrigued me about Gunung Padang, because officially there's nothing said about that. Danny Hillman says there's no evidence of agriculture going way back, but I'm very interested because the magnetic anomalies there just sort of don't add up unless they have some purpose. Why would you choose a site that has them if there's no purpose there? And they were obviously known about because they were marked by stone. So this is why I think this rice paddy behind me, I think this terracing system, which is what you get in Peru as well, there may be something in that, and I'm sure more evidence will eventually surface to prove that, because you know, if you're going to survive anywhere, you need food.
Gunung Padang could be several thousand years older than the Great Pyramid, several thousand years older than Stonehenge in my own country of England, and that it was constructed perhaps even shortly after the last ice age, which came to an end around 13,500 BC, and that there was a lot of activity going on at the end of the last ice age, not only here but in other countries as well. We know that there's a place called Göbekli Tepe in Anatolia, which is modern day Turkey. This is a huge series of stone structures like you find here at Gunung Padang, and we know this dates to between about 8,000 to 9,500 BC. There is no doubt, and there are other monuments around the world that could equally be as old. So we must start reviewing all the evidence that we have for megalithic monuments everywhere, because all of them could have a much older core which we've overlooked until now.